Run! Go! Get to the jibber jabber!
Hey Valerie! It's on Apple Podcasts and Podomatic! Freaking awesome!
Welcome to a special episode of the Jibber Jabber podcast. I'm joined today with Jay Mack as always and our friend Adam Whittle.
Get my name right.
Adam Whittle from the Synthfords.
Good evening, everyone. How are we?
Good. So Adam is also from the Microcast, which is the official KORG. Well, official or non-official?
Well, it's I'll leave that open for you to decide. It is kind of the unofficial, but we kind of all work for KORG.
Yeah.
We often have special guests on who are KORG artists or KORG staff, so it kind of is official, really.
Yeah, so it's the official for KORG. And for any of you that don't know what KORG are, which is, by the way, since I've ever tried to plug the Synthfords, I'm like, those guys work for KORG. Who? You know, the pianos.
The piano's shocking.
Right? Right. So, yeah, it's just like, what's the other brand? KORG and...
Yamaha's a big
Right,
one.
Yeah.
So that's like the Apple and the
Android.
The Android, yeah. So yeah, for some reason, some people just are not aware of KORG until I point out in every other like live performance you see someone playing, right?
That's one thing I'll actually ask you to start with. Is Yamaha the other big one, or have you got a closer
There's a few. There's Yamaha, there's Roland, another one.
Mm-hmm. Yes, that's right.
And of course, KORG.
KORG, yeah.
KORG is king.
So that's your three kings.
Indeed.
It's
Yeah,
three
KORG
kings that
where
fight for-
they invented the electronic tuner.
That's
You're a
right.
guitarist.
Yeah,
Did you know that?
Did you know that? KORG?
Yeah.
What?
Yeah.
Well,
They invented the...
So how did they do
here's
that from start to finish?
Here's another boring fact. I don't want to talk about other stuff, but... So KORG came out in 1962, and the founder, a guy called Kato, owned a nightclub. And in the time, they used to have loads of acts come in, and they'd have like an accordion player or whatever. And they used to bring along a drum machine, or a live band. And the guy who was playing the accordion at the time said, this drum machine, it's a bit naff, can you make one? And he went, yeah, alright, I'll make one. So he made one called, I think it's the DA20, the Donkomatic.
What great name.
Right?
Donkomatic.
It's called the Donkomatic because it went donka. That's what it did, right? Imagine. So it was the size of like a washing machine. It's huge. And it became a great success, and KORG became KORG as we all know today. But the Gorillaz wrote a song called Donkomatic,
Right.
and they feature a sample in it of a guy going donka, and that is our founder.
Wow.
So there we go. So check out Donkomatic by
Just
Gorillaz.
Yeah,
There you go.
you
That was the
didn't
very
know that
first product that we ever made. Obviously, we went on to electronic tuners. We do synthesizers, keyboards, analog stuff. We do all sorts. So,
For some reason, like when you say KORG, to me I just think 80s.
yeah.
It's just that 80s feel is always a KORG. There's a group called Gunship.
Mhm.
You've heard of Gunship?
Yeah.
Right, so I know the two guys, isn't it?
Do you really?
Well, yeah, I spent a lot of time because my favourite band is Fight Stuff.
Okay.
So, with those two guys, a lot of what they play is KORG.
Good stuff.
And have you seen their videos?
I'm sure
Their
I
music.
probably will have.
John Carter actually was.
KORG artist?
Yeah, so
There we go. That's why they were able to get him for it. For doing it all with KORG. Get
Probably
John
was,
Carter.
yeah.
maybe that's where it was. They also Tim Cabello.
Legend.
Yeah, his KORG saxophone.
Crazy. So
That'd be cool.
mad. So obviously we are here today in Manchester. We were attending For the Love of Horror. So we've wrapped up day one, and the last time we were here in Manchester, December last year, we got to see you guys, the Synthfords, play for the very first time, and we were hooked.
Yeah, it was definitely the highlight of that. that
bless
visit
you.
for us,
Stop
man.
it.
No, it was great, man. We were just, we were front row. We stole those front row seats as well.
Yeah.
People had paid for those. We were like, no, mine.
We had press.
yeah. So we're all sitting there, and you start playing, and we didn't know what you were actually going to be doing at first.
I don't think we did at the time. but
And you just started playing these movie themes, and we were like, these guys are good, man.
Yes.
And then we got the Top Gun.
oh, wait.
I was like, what? And I'm pretty sure all three of us went, yeah! And Luke done his signature.
And then some guy came and was like, "Can we stop this? Can we stop this?" Fuck him.
That was soul destroying. Yeah.
I was like,
So basically, for those of you at home who don't remember or didn't come to the event, we were starting playing. So we did the opening concert and we opened the opening concert. Thousands of people there playing away. Some guy runs on stage and everyone starts booing, and we're like, "What?"
That's right. You didn't hear.
Because obviously we were all had cans on, so we couldn't hear, and everyone's going giving it all this, and we're like, "What?" And he took the cans off. There's no music. Stop. Right,
He's
what's
still
going
going
on?
with this.
And it was because apparently we were too loud because the one show were filming upstairs,
Oh fuck them.
and they wanted us
Honestly.
to turn it down. So yeah.
Nah.
Some views and opinions aren't officially related to Jim and Al podcast. I'm actually roasting. It's these crazy lines.
Is that what? Do you know?
It's got nothing to do with the whiskey. It's all about the vibes.
I'm having a hot flush.
As the audience, we were led to believe that there was an issue with the sound.
No, it was the one show were saying that we were too loud
Oh,
because they had all the guys from Stranger Things upstairs in the cantina bar doing an interview or whatever, and we were too loud.
That didn't stop them when we were interviewing Lou Ferrigno, though,
Well,
right?
But what was cool,
Didn't stop him.
what I actually did appreciate though, if you remember, is we were about 15 minutes, because the way we do our sets is when we go, we don't stop. We start at the beginning and we end at the end, and the set, it's just continuous music for however long the set is. So I think our set was 40 minutes, and must have been 15, 20 minutes in, and we played the whole set again. They didn't say start from there or whatever. They said, no, just go again, start again. So for people that, I mean, let's be honest, we were the warm act for Blues Harvest and for the guys from Stranger
Which you
Things.
shouldn't have been.
Well,
You shouldn't have been.
we didn't. Nobody knew who we were, but it was quite cool because people had kind of sampled us a bit and thought, oh, I'm now not going to queue up at the bar or go for a wee or whatever.
So it was a blessing in the
So it was kind of cool that they gave us that bit of a warm up and then we were on. Because if the other thing is as well, we didn't do any warm up. There was nothing because all the other guys had all the time and there was just no time left.
That's cool.
We'd set up the keyboards ready to do our sound check. There was people walking in and they were like, right, go, off you go. Right, okay.
So when you started doing these conventions as the Synthlogs, that was the first time that you played
so
as them.
the kind of story is I'm from Manchester and I had attended the Love of Sci-Fi for the last couple of years before. They'd set up like an arena style event for all the big guests because the year before they had Dolph Lundgren and they had William Shatner, so big names. So obviously, you know, tickets were like gold dust. Hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of people were there, and my dad, being a big Trekkie, as we were speaking about before, wanted to see William Shatner. So we were queuing up to get into the arena to see William Shatner, and you were there for about an hour before he was on stage, and you were just in an empty arena, so there's nothing there, and they were just playing movie trailers on a loop. So if you can imagine, you're there for an hour, and you've got 4 trailers on a loop. It was so I actually wrote to the organisers of the con, and I just said, look, I work for KORG, play a bit, and there's another couple of guys that I work with who play a little bit more than I do. We'd like to kind of do something for you. So, you know, Luke, who's one of my colleagues, who's the kind of guy, Luke, who's the guy, you know, the brain behind the Synthlogs, as it were. He does all the programming, and I sent him some of the videos that he's done because his job for KORG is a lot cooler than mine. Luke's job is he's a sound programmer, so he programs all the sounds for all the keyboards. So when a new keyboard comes out, if you go to patch 1 and it's called Synth Lord or whatever, that's Luke that's named it, he's designed the sound. So it's a cool job.
That's an amazing
job. But what he also, his job is to go around stores or go to events and showcase our gear. So he's got lots of videos that he's done. So I sent him some videos of what he'd done. And they just said, yeah, you're on. Right, we're going to call you Synthlogs. And we went, okay.
So they allocated the name.
They allocated the name.
It's a good name.
Yeah,
and it's stuck.
Yeah.
Right to your t-shirt.
Well, the
Right to your
Yeah. So the other thing is we were actually supposed to be in full costume.
Oh,
They said, "Oh, get some fancy dress costumes." So we're like, "All right, okay."
Well, like
Darth Vader.
Yeah, like Sith costumes. So we got all these hired all these costumes. So we get on stage to plug all the gear in, and they were like, "Right, go, people are in, start playing." Didn't even get a chance to put costumes on. So we've been that. So we don't bother. So now it's just.
Do you know what? I think it's better that you didn't.
Me too.
Because we can put the faces to you now, and it gives you a bit more personality.
Yeah. So we did the event. It went well, and it was a great opening concert. You know, I thought it was a really good thing. And then we were on again the next 2 days. And then they had us back for the love of 80s and 90s, and we did that earlier in the year.
Amazing.
Yeah, I mean it was definitely, like we said, it was one of the highlights for us.
Yeah.
And we've been looking to try and do something with you since, and it's just logistically it's just been
Yeah,
pain in the arse.
well, it's hard. Obviously, you guys are
Scottish.
over the wall and all that. And I'm obviously Manchester based, and Andy's right down south, and Luke's in Milton Keynes. So we're all here, there, and everywhere. But I'm here, and I knew you were here, so you rang me up, said, "Come and do it." So here I am.
Awesome, man.
Exactly.
I did have another question in mind, but I'll let Kevin ask one because I've forgotten what it was.
So it can't have been that important.
I know.
Was
And
it-
then it's
no,
just
it was-
thrown
no,
right.
here it was. Here it was. So it's actually with how it's going back a while, I'm assuming. But how did you first start working for KORG, man?
For KORG, well,
Because you worked at a music store, you were saying.
I did, yeah. So many years ago,
In a galaxy far, far away.
I had keyboard lessons. It's basically some music shop came to my school, said, played some keyboards, and said, "Do you want to learn to play the keyboard?" And I said, "Yeah, I do." So I went along to a music shop, learned to play the keyboard, ended up working for that company, and then I transferred all around the different branches that they have. I ended up managing one of the stores of that company, and then I got a bit fed up one day, kind of left the industry, ended up going to work for another company as a Chinese purchaser. Went out to China buying loads of musical equipment and stuff like that. And then the job at KORG came up, and it was like, KORG, yeah, I'm in. Went for an interview and bam, I'm here.
So you would have known, obviously it's KORG, so working for, music industry stores.
It's almost like, how can I put it? It sounds really cheesy what I'm going to say, but it's almost, for me, like putting on an England shirt or a Scottish shirt. Is that a thing?
Give him a raise.
Do they have a Scottish shirt?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
They do. We don't wear them often.
But it is. It's got that. It's they're an amazing company to work for, and honoured to work for them. So yeah.
I've seen that you also do things in schools, like you mentioned. Somebody came to your
Yes.
school.
So
And
we've
you
done
do the same thing.
Yeah, we do the same thing. So Synth Lords have been on tour. We've done a few schools. Because the thing with playing music nowadays is difficult to do. It's not like when I was at school. It was right. What instrument do you want to learn? I don't know, what is there? Well, go and have a look in the cupboard, and when you go in the cupboard and you walk out with a clarinet, and you go, all right, yeah, you can have that. And then, but these things are 300, 400, 500 quid. No, most schools have cut music now, so it's very difficult to learn. So I always went back to what inspired me, and it was movie themes. And my particular thing was when I was a kid was James Bond themes.
Right.
Dad always had James Bond on, he always had Star Trek on, obviously, a big Star Wars fan, etc, etc. And to be able to sit at home and play a James Bond theme, whatever that might be, was like, wow, that's amazing. So when they came to my school and did some James Bond medley, it was like, that's it, I'm in, sign me up, I want lessons. And for me, that's what I wanted to do. When we've been out to schools and we do like an assembly, so you'll turn up and then we'll do pretty much the set that we did at For Love of Sci-Fi, to a lot of kids at school, and you're ending with like, the Marvel theme going into Avengers and stuff. It's just amazing, and to see them, and if they take something away from that, then that's great.
So it's like handing the same torch that was handed to you.
Absolutely.
To another child.
Yeah,
That's
it's
amazing.
very cheesy, but it's true.
It's very cheesy.
Yeah,
I think if you can do something passionately and give something to someone else, like what we did recently is we were filming at Comic Con Scotland just last weekend. And what we did was, and we didn't even know we were doing it, there was a guy who came to meet his hero, Christopher Lloyd, right? So he's getting his almanac signed, and he comes walking up to us, and we were like, can you hold it up to the camera and just show us what you got signed from
Yeah,
Christopher
yeah.
Lloyd? And then we said, we filmed you meeting him.
Oh,
And he's
awesome.
like, no way, like what? So it was amazing for us to be like, right, now that'll always be, you didn't even know at the
No,
time,
yeah,
but now we've got you meeting your hero and that'll
Yeah.
always be there.
So that's 250 quid.
Be the first penny we ever made, right? But for us, for me,
No.
like, even if it ended tomorrow, that was
that's
worth it.
it's worth
Do you know
it,
what I mean?
absolutely.
We gave that to someone.
That's the thing about what we do. I mean, it actually costs us money. I mean, we either do this or like get a gym membership. Fuck that.
I have a gym membership, just saying.
No, but you know, these things are very costly to do. You know, I get all that, but your passion and your drive will hopefully get that across to people, and well, that's why they're watching this very evening.
What's your favourite movie theme of all time? It doesn't need to be one that you play. Just
Krull.
Krull.
Yeah.
Right, we're going to play that for you right now. That's Krull. I've no idea what it sounds like. I'll find out when you see it.
You've never right. See, this is the other thing.
No, I've seen it.
Yeah.
I just can't remember the theme.
Right. Well, James Horner wrote the music.
I love James.
Allegedly.
Is he Pan Breed now?
No. It's what?
No, was it?
Pan breed. It's a Scottish term
For dead.
For pan bread.
Yeah. It's dead.
Like
yeah.
the type of
Yeah,
loaf.
yeah.
Yes, he is.
Yeah, yeah. He died in a helicopter crash.
Mate, what is it with celebrities and dying in helicopter crashes?
So
Stop
you
shooting
go.
helicopters.
The thing is, right? You go. Apparently, allegedly, it was one of the first films he ever wrote, and apparently had a nervous breakdown while writing it. And then it's very, very similar to The Wrath of Khan because he wrote that after Krull.
Right.
So if you hear the two, particularly like the falling sort of violin sounds that you'll hear when you listen to the soundtrack, it's very similar to Wrath of Khan. So if you like that soundtrack, it's shit. Krull will shit all over.
One of my favourite similarities between movie themes is Gladiator and Pirates of the Caribbean.
Yes.
I'm assuming you know this one.
Yes.
It's fucking ridiculous.
And that again is James
Really
Horner,
is.
right?
Hans
No,
Zimmer.
no,
Hans
it's
Zimmer.
Hans Zimmer.
Hans Zimmer.
Hans Zimmer. It's like he forgot to do his homework and he was
Hans
the night
Zimmer,
before was just
to
like,
me, it's just noise now. And now that might be just me being old or older. Yeah. I used to. I wish I brought my other phone. It's my work phone, but on my other phone, right, there's a thing that you can get. I'm gonna just Google it now. So just talk amongst yourselves a minute, and it's called the Hans Zimmer button. Right. Oh, let me find it.
I think we could already do
and
it.
then
that sounds like something you need to try and find on a woman.
Oh, where is it? Where is it? Hans Zimmer.
Zimmer.
Yeah, I've got it.
Yeah,
It's called, if you go online and just search for Hans Zimmer button, you'll find it. I'll just see if it loads. It's a big red button.
No way.
Right? And if you press it, oh, I did it. Just does a Hans Zimmer noise. Yeah, so Hans Zimmer now is just noise.
Oh.
But if you think way back when he did Enemy at the Gates and he did Peacemaker, great soundtrack. They
I
were
love Pirates of the
amazing.
Caribbean. I love the Pirates of the Caribbean
Yeah,
theme and Gladiator. I didn't realise how similar they were until I listened to. I actually see it was a YouTube video just saying, listen to how similar these are. I was like, oh my god.
One of my all-time favourite soundtracks, and I can even tell you which part of the movie it is. It's Never Ending Story.
Yeah.
You like?
Yeah.
Love it.
I'd love to see you guys do something Never Ending
That'd be
Story.
cool.
That'd be amazing. Just every part of it.
There's loads of soundtracks I like. I mean, I like the Titanic soundtrack.
Me?
I like everybody.
James Horner. That's outstanding.
Robin Hood, Prince of Thieves. I love that soundtrack. I love obviously all the Star Wars soundtracks. I think they're awesome. I love the Goonies. I love you listen to the Synthforge. You'll know what we like.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Same as us.
Play what you like.
Yeah.
Do you know, when we actually showed our cameraman your set before we came down here, right, the standout for him was Tron.
Tron, yeah.
Yes.
Let's give it a thumbs up. Yeah, but that's it's just and to be able to play live is amazing.
What did you think of Tron Legacy?
I liked it.
Me too.
I don't know why, because they're not going to do a sequel on it now, are they? It's kind
No,
of
they
finished.
scrapped it.
But I thought it. Because I liked Tron when I first saw it. Obviously, it's not aged very well at all now.
No.
It's quite funny now, but I thought the new one was really good.
I really enjoyed it. I mean, some of the guy that plays the main character, I think his name's Garrett Hedlund. I don't think he's the best actor.
No.
I think they could have chosen somebody that Charlie Hunnam would have done a better job, and he's not much better.
No.
But Olivia Wilde is just one of the best things on this planet. She's so beautiful. But Jeff Bridges is Jeff Bridges. He always will be. He's one of my favourites. Crazy Heart's one of my favourite films that he's done.
Yeah, I liked it.
It was a sweet film. But it was the first time I'd seen the de-aging process.
Of course,
it's the first time that I'd seen that. There might have been something done before that, but it's the first time I remember it. And you can really, like, looking at it, at the time, I mean, Tron Legacy came out when? Must be 7-8 years ago now?
I bet it's more than that.
Maybe more.
It doesn't feel like that though, right?
It looked
No,
great
it
at the time.
doesn't.
I was like, whoa, they've made Jeff Bridges look young.
Great
You look at it now,
soundtrack,
it's like fucking Toy Story.
It's weird.
It looks really, it's really, I mean Toy Story 1995, it looks really, it's like hazy and everything just looks a bit gummy. It just doesn't quite look right. They can never get the inside of a mouth.
Whereas, obviously the special effects in Krull haven't aged at all. I think it stands up today. So when you get the chance to watch that, and you've got Bernard Breslow in a rubber mask, and you've got
Liam Neeson's in that.
Well, do you know what the thing with it is? If you watch it now, there's Mark Fowler from EastEnders. He's in it, right? Yeah, as a little boy.
Yeah.
There's Liam Neeson in it. There's Robbie Coltrane.
Right,
Right? Yeah, honestly, always like really young people. What a film! It's just brilliant.
Yeah, we'll do a deep dive on Krull.
Yeah, you need to get it at one of your events.
Well, that's just it. Like I said, we do events where we put movies on.
One of the biggest issues we've found with it is, like, we can almost get any film we want, but the rights to show them is
difficult.
like what we were told by the cinema manager was, listen guys, can you try and come up with films that have recently had a 4K restoration or something, because the rights to show them is so much less. Like, we asked for Flight of the Navigator thinking they'd want, I don't know, a packet of Skittles and a handshake. It was like, no, it was costing them a fortune to get the rights to Flight of the Navigator, so they couldn't do it.
Which we have to make that money back by putting money into it.
Yeah,
so we never make a penny. No. We do this for the love of it.
Listen, we do it for charity. Our charity.
So what's your favourite kind of 80s type cartoon then?
He-Man for me,
He-Man.
I wasn't alive in
Possibly
the 80s,
Thundercats.
Thundercats.
I love the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. And then my son does. Which is great. You relive it. That's the best part of it.
The best one for me, one of the greatest things of all, is Ulysses 31. Do you remember that?
Never heard of that one.
Right, well here's one for you to check out. So basically, it's very similar to kind of Star Wars vibes. Is that me? Are you?
I think it's Jordan.
It's possibly
It is, and he's giving me the look to say turn your phone on silent.
Yeah. And check it out. But it's kind of the sci-fi Star Warsy type vibe. But every episode is a Greek myth.
Alright.
Set to like a sci-fi. It's awesome. I won't spoil it, but
There's a Netflix reboot waiting to happen.
honestly, I am surprised
amazing.
they've not done it, because it is the music. Oh, it's just brilliant. So Krull and Ulysses 31 are my two pieces of cult classic that no one has ever heard of.
What is your job in?
My job?
Yes, with KORG. You've
With
said
KORG,
you've said that Luke's got the cool job.
He has got well, my job's cool as well. So basically my job, I'm the Northern Area Sales Manager for KORG. So I look after our accounts from kind of Leicester all the way up into Scotland and the whole of Ireland.
No pressure there.
So anybody that's got a music shop that has KORG as an account will probably know me.
Which is most music stores. Then.
Pretty much,
I would hope so.
Yeah. And obviously we've got quite a diverse catalogue, so we do digital pianos, we do home keyboards, we do synthesizers, we do analogue products, you name it, we do it.
What's the appeal of a digital piano over a standard? Even I don't know what you've got a grand piano.
I know what you mean. So
your standard piano.
You can look at it two ways. As a purist might say, is you can't beat an acoustic piano, and to be honest, you probably can. But modern living these days, a traditional acoustic piano is very expensive. So you're looking at least £2,000. They go out of tune. I would probably want a traditional upright piano, but we do a piano starting at sort of £360 that you can connect to your computer. That you can put headphones in. that's got different types of piano sounds. So you might want it to sound like a grand piano, you might want it to sound like an upright piano, you might want to layer it with strings, you might want to, you know, we do some products that are Bluetooth, so you can connect it up to your phone and play a backing track, and so there's lots of different, you know, they never go out of tune, and you know, and at the end of the day, going back to what we spoke about before, they're affordable. So being at school, you can learn a piano now for £300 odd, whereas before you just couldn't. You got my mate's got an old piano off my gran this summer, and it's naff, and it never goes in, it's never in tune, and it's horrible. And
there's always that
the
knocking
kid,
key that does nothing.
Everybody used to have a piano like that was out of tune, and keys didn't work, and all the ivory came off, and it was like, what? You know, how can you learn on that? You can't. You know, but an 88 weighted note piano for £360 or whatever it is nowadays is the access to getting into music now is far more affordable than it ever has been.
Yeah, I mean, you say they never go out of tune. Wait until Apple get their hands on one.
Well, absolutely.
After 3 years, how's my fucking digital piano went out of tune? Oh, it's Apple.
Speaking of Apple, we were on our KORG were on the very first keynotes for the iPad. If you watch it back, because our music apps are quite big. And I was once told a story of when Apple brought the iPad to KORG Japan to showcase what it was. And apparently it was all heavily guarded, secret, you know, security came in, you had to handcuff with a briefcase and all that, you had to sign an NDA, all the staff had to go home. And there was literally only a couple of people at KORG were allowed to see it. This is what the iPad is, and this is what your app's going to work on.
Wow.
That's a pretty cool story.
Do you know, I actually toy about with GarageBand quite often. Have you checked out the samples?
Yeah.
What do you think of that?
Yeah, there's what we do one called Gadget, which is definitely worth checking out. And we do that for Mac, we do it for PC, we do it for iPad, we do it for Nintendo Switch.
Wow.
You know, so we do all these different. But yeah, that is, and particularly we talked about gorillas earlier with the Donkomatic.
Yeah.
We asked them to design a product. So we do a product called an Electribe. It's a little groove box about so big. And we said, look, to gorillas, if you were to design one, what would it look like? So I said, oh, we'll make one. It's got no back on it. All the valves are showing. We've got like a chewed up pencil on it, and we'll put all our samples off our album on it and stuff. So we've made that into a real product, put it on as an iPad app, and it's about £5.
Wow,
and it's awesome, you know. So.
That's cool. I mean, I like to shit on Apple a bit, but it's just because I'm an Android man.
Yeah, me too.
Always have.
Yeah, me too.
Kev's not, as you can tell by that face.
He's one of the sheep.
Apple tends to just...
He says with my iPhone, but this is my work phone. But so what was today like? I mean, obviously, the Synth Lords were not at this event today.
No,
we offered,
and I think there was a massive hole in it because of that.
No,
it was a really cool event, man. That one thing that the whole horror vibe really lent itself to was the cosplayers. They were amazing.
Outstanding.
Was the woman there that does a really good It? Did you see any?
Well, to define really good, there was really good as in good to look at, or really good as in she looks like the movie.
Jesus Christ, that is terrifying.
She
was at For the Love 80s, and I said to her at the time, "Are you coming to the horror?" She said she was.
Yeah, there was a few Pennywise things kicking about. There was one in particular where I thought that's bloody good. It was probably her.
Well, there was one.
She had the teeth, like the sharp teeth.
Yeah. Well, she knocks around, and it might be her husband or whatever, and he dresses up like one of the Lost Boys. Yes. And he has blonde hair, and he has big teeth, and he has blood everywhere and all that.
There was
and they always go together. They walk round together as a, and she was terrifying. Terrifying.
The whole Pennywise thing is a phenomenon. I think if you can tap into something that so many people are naturally scared of, for some reason, people are naturally scared of clowns.
Have you seen? This makes for really good podcasting, this, sitting here in silence.
And this week's episode was brought to you by
No, it'll
nobody.
come to me in a minute. There's a series about Stephen King series, TV programme.
Yes,
Castle Rock. Have you seen that?
I have seen about 4 episodes of it.
I've seen about 4 minutes.
Oh, I mean, it's brilliant.
I need to watch more.
You do.
I
The
felt
scene
looking-
with the woman who plays Carrie in it, her kind of
Yeah.
resolution of her storyline in episode 8, I think it's called The White Queen or The White King or whatever it is, that episode,
I
awesome.
haven't got there yet. I think
Awesome.
she plays the
It's very
lawyer,
clever.
the lawyer's mum.
Very,
adopted
very
mum.
clever.
Yeah. Bill Skarsgård's in it as well.
Yeah.
Does he
He's
reprise
a bit of a mystery
Well,
character at
that's
this
the
point
thing,
for
you
me.
kind of don't know. That's the thing, you see. He's a guy in a cage
Right.
in Shawshank, kind of playing the same character, isn't he? Kind of really. So you don't know what. I don't want to spoil it for anyone at home, but watch. Anybody should watch. If you're into horror and you're into Stephen King in particular,
Love Stephen King.
it's so well written, so clever.
There's a theme tune you could do for us, just when you mentioned Stephen King.
Yes.
The Running Man.
Yeah.
Love to hear that one.
Oh,
So John Carpenter, I mentioned this earlier, but it's quite good to mention again. Is a KORG artist. So John Carpenter plays KORG, and he's played KORG for many, many, many years. And he used to write classic themes, as we all know from various horror films. And he always used to get writer's block when he was writing a particular piece. He'd think, oh God, I don't know what to do. And he's got a KORG Triton, which I believe you've just stolen one.
yes.
KORG Triton.
I haven't told her yet. I'm stealing it.
It's a stolen one. And that is a workstation that released back in the 90s. And John Carpenter famously states that whenever he used to write a song, if he got writer's block, he'd find this particular sound called ribbon morpher. So it's
Yeah,
one
I
for
know
you to,
it well.
you know it. And he used to it's pretty similar to the Hans Zimmer button. He'd mess about really low kind of type sound, and he'd mess about with the ribbon at the side and make all these cool sounds, and that would inspire him to write.
To be able to get inspiration from the tool you're working with is pretty cool.
That's pretty cool.
Here's a question, right? So you say that KORG have artists and John Carpenter's one of them.
Mm-hmm.
So how does that work? Is that just exclusively he will only play KORG?
No, not
or
necessarily.
do you guys sort out his tours and what?
No. I mean, obviously he deals with KORG in the USA, but all I'm aware of with John Carpenter, he's used our pieces of gear for years and years and years, and I know that when he toured this year, he used what we call the KORG Kronos, which is our top of the range workstation. Which, if you go to the Synth Lords on Facebook, and watch Luke play, who's
the link is below.
He's the centre guy.
Below.
He's the of the three of us. He uses that very same product.
Yeah.
So I know that when he tours, that's what he plays. So
Do you know what I loved? It was just the other day I happened to watch the video again that we took of you guys at for Love of Sci-Fi, and I love the wood effect. Or the wood panel on the end.
side.
It's beautiful.
great,
I love wood paneling, man.
Yeah.
Like, see if I could
He's
get
wood paneling daft.
I'm
For
wood
those,
paneling daft.
for those of you that follow our podcast that we do,
Microcast.
Microcast, check us out.
With a cake.
With a cake.
We always used to say it's all about the wood, because there's something in the last sort of 4 or 5 years where there's more wood appearing on products again, like there used to be.
Yeah.
Back in the sort of late 70s, early 80s, every synth had a big wood back bit or a wood. It was, but it's coming back.
Do you know
It's all about the wood.
This is a no-win situation, right? You use plastic because they don't want you to cut down trees. You start using plastic, like, yeah, you're destroying the oceans. It's like, start using wood again then. No! where do you go?
Mind control.
Every KORG's going to be made of plastic bag shot. It'll say Tesco on one bit, Lidl at another. It's like, just to please people. We just need to try and please everybody now. That's the problem. But no, the wood panelling, is it real? Is real wood, real finished, varnished, polished? It's beautiful.
Yeah.
It's like the inside of an old Jag. It's
I
amazing.
remember that.
Yeah.
What I used to look like.
Yeah,
So Running Man, you like that soundtrack, do you?
I do. I think it's just another one that takes me back to my childhood, which it shouldn't because it's 18.
But in it now, I mean, I love the Running Man, but it's a bit shite, isn't it? Do you know what I mean?
Do you know?
Actually, just think about it now.
Mancunians have got the best accent for saying shite.
Yeah, but
it's a bit shy.
But just think about it now, like, there's some guy with like light bulbs all over him. It's just a bit weird, isn't it?
Hey, Lighthead! Hey, Christmas tree!
It's like Total Recall.
Some of the one-liners in it are ridiculous. What is it? There's an absolute cracker. Aye, it's so bad. It's so fucking. It's when he kills the big Japanese guy, Sub-Zero. It's when he kills him and he he looks into the camera that's kind of watching him, and he's like, "He is Sub-Zero now, Plane Zero." What?
Plane Zero.
But then you also have, "I hope you leave enough room for my face because I'm going to ram it into your stomach and break your goddamn spine." And that redeemed the whole film for me.
It's a good impression, that, mate.
Aye,
Thanks, man. I learned it from
Wasting
Stu
your
Arnold.
time doing that. You waste your time doing this. Oh, God bless him. Love you, Stu.
Big Stu. Yeah, we'll see him tomorrow, I think.
Tomorrow.
He's down tomorrow.
Yeah, he's
Send him my regards.
I will do.
Adam says, "Why? I don't know why the synth lords aren't here, but."
Do you know? Did we not see? I was bummed because the only thing
Mate,
about
did you tell
Excuse
me?
me.
not in that sense. Don't even dare clip that.
So, mate, you were only away for 10 minutes.
No, when we were sitting in the front row watching the Synth Lords, I kept saying to Jordan, "I hope they play Terminator. I really hope they
Yeah,
play. They would do it for me."
we did it for
It was the day after.
No, we didn't do it.
Did you not? Because I saw when we come home.
We had to leave the audience wanting more. You see.
Well,
So what
that's
we
what
did
we
is
do.
we did when we did For the Love of 80s and 90s. That was slightly different because For the Love of Sci-Fi was purely you got 40 minutes to do what you want. So what we did for that was we picked sort of the greatest hits of the year or whatever. So we did like your Marvel theme and Avengers and all that kind of stuff. And we picked themes from the guests that were involved at that. So we did like Stranger Things and we did all that kind of stuff.
We saw that.
For the Love of 80s and 90s was slightly different because it was like we got, I think it was 40 minutes. So what we did was we started in 1980 and we picked a theme or themes for every year. So we did like a time machine kind of thing where it started in 1980 and we did loads of stuff from the from 1980 and then it moved on to 81, 82, 80 and we ended with like Matrix and what's it call it? Star Wars. So Phantom Menace. So it was cool. It's good. We did Terminator in that one because
You see,
we only did it for Stu.
Right, because I saw a video when we got home, and it was Stu Arnold, and he was doing his thing, and you guys were playing Terminator in the background, and I was like, they do play it.
I've got a message somewhere from Stuart. And for those of you that are very lucky to know Stu, he's a lovable guy.
The entertainer.
He is. He's phenomenal. And he kept sending me voice clips. Have I got one here? Is it this one? Oh no, because if you remember when we did For the Love of 80s and 90s, he did our trailer. Because he did the voiceover for it. We did the Terminator theme, and he was the voiceover for it. Because obviously he's the man in it.
Yes.
Other than yourself, obviously. It's
Thank you.
fantastic. Oh, no, I can't find it now, but he's all like, oh, he's just a legend. So yeah, Stu Arnold. I like Stuart.
Check him out.
He is a legend. That's Terminator UK.
Yes.
Excuse me. What's your preferred tool of choice when it comes to KORG?
Well, me, Andy and Luke, we all play a different product and it's one of each of the three of our kind of divisions, if you will. So Luke plays a workstation, Andy plays an analogue synth called a Prologue, which also has a big wooden thing on it. And I play an arranger keyboard, so it's more of a home keyboard slash. It's what if you go into Europe and you go in a wine bar and there's someone playing it, that's what they probably use.
Right. Okay.
I grew up playing an organ, funnily enough.
Wow.
So that's more similar to that style.
Right.
You know, like you said, you have a little cheesy Casio.
Yeah.
It's kind of like a big version of that.
Yeah.
Bigger rhythm, press play. And
I was
all that
hoping the
stuff.
Casio would be better than it was. I mean, it's all right. It's all right. Do you know, funnily enough, right? Jordan and I were at the cinema, the one that we worked closely with, and we went down to a shop that's like one of those old shops that people donate stuff and you go in and buy it to make money for charity, right? Call them charity shops. Right? But Jordan bought an old couch for £10 right, that now sits in his man cave where we record the Jibber
It's
Jabber.
a proper leather armchair for 10 quid.
Right.
Fantastic.
It reeks of fag smoke. It's
Someone
it's
died in it,
comfortable.
like.
It's comfortable.
But how close were you to buying one of those old ass organs?
Yeah, they were selling an old
Do it, man.
electric
£25.
organ. No, it was 70 quid. Mate. That's,
Was it
if it was
70?
25, I'd have bought it.
Bit steep, that, mate.
But, but 70 quid. But it reminded me, we used to have one in the basement in my house when I was a kid growing up. We had a basement.
I know,
really
do you live in
rare.
America or what?
No, actually, I'll tell you
Take
how
out
it
the
happened.
trash.
My dad built the house, but the land that he built it on just so happened to have this big patch that was just shit. We couldn't use it. It was just, they couldn't put the foundations in, it was just crap earth, so he had to dig it out. He thought, fuck it, I'll put a basement in.
Nice.
So we ended up with a basement, that was our play area. But they put the organ in there. We used to fart about in it, and I had the pedal on it, and it was great fun. And this one looked, by memory, it might have been different, but by memory it looked just like it was. Like
They're ugly things.
I was
though,
like, I'm
right?
going to buy that.
Oh,
Yeah, look, I mean, it depends what, you know, if you think back to sort of like I mean, everyone remembers like the Hammond organ, but there's others as well, like the Vox Continental was the red one that the Doors used to use.
Right.
And it had a different sound, it was like a surfy type sound, so the
I
Beach
can hear it now.
Boys.
It's in,
Yeah, but
Light My Fire.
well, KORG, yeah, that's the sound.
Yeah.
Well, KORG own the Vox Corporation,
Wow.
so you know the Vox amps at the Beatles.
Yes,
used to
VOX.
use? VOX. Well, that's a KORG company.
Wow.
So we do one called the Vox Continental. We've remade it, so
Right.
it looks like a keyboard now, but it's bright red, and we still make that.
And it's the same pretty much sound, just digital.
It's exactly the same, yeah.
Oh wow, that's amazing.
Now I know that just talking about the KORG Triton
Yes.
briefly, I know that like in its day it was the machine to have.
So it was.
How well has it stood the test of time?
Well,
Are people still using it?
well, if you go to Andy, who is one of the synth lords, Andy Pullen. If you go on Instagram and go Andy Pullen Music, I think his hashtag, his name is on Instagram. He still uses it now. He writes a lot of music for. He's doing a soundtrack at the minute. Won't tell me what it is, but yeah, he's.
Oh come on!
So he still uses it now. There are people that still use it today.
It
You
is
know,
some
people
machine.
like, I'm trying to think for its time in the 90s, like Robbie Williams, Guy Chambers, who was the guy that used to write all the
Yeah,
songs.
that's
That album, there
Did
was
they
two
not steal
albums that
Angels?
they did. I don't know. But that was all. That was all called Triton. Kylie Minogue, Can't Get You Out of My Head. That was famously, the whole song was recorded on a KORG Triton.
It's some piece of gear. I mean,
So
I've no
it's
idea
still-
how to use it yet.
Yeah, it's still, you know, even things like, because it's a workstation, you've got thousands of sounds on it. You know, if you think back to early 90s, we were famous for we did another product called the M1, which is a really classic early 90s synth. And that was famous for two sounds. One was the M1 organ and the M1 piano. And if you listen to any 90s dance track, it will have those two sounds on it. You know when you listen to house music and you've got that funky organ bass, that's an M1 organ. And those sounds are on that. So a lot of sounds do stand the test of time, you know, they really do. Like, we were talking about the Top Gun thing before, where it starts and you've got those drums and then you get that dong, that's a Yamaha sound, it's from a DX7.
Wow.
Well, that's an FM synth chip, which is in the KORG Kronos.
Right.
And that's how Luke made that sound on, because that's the other thing with the synthboards, you know, Luke and Andy, not me, I just turn up and play, but they spend hours and hours and hours and hours, you know, working all this stuff out, writing it all out, recording all the parts, because Luke's a sound designer, he will go to that depth to think, right, how was that sound created when it was created? I'm going to recreate that.
So you say it's a sound designer. Is he also not designer? A sound designer?
Well, it could be a good decider as well.
Is he also
decided.
is he also a trained musician?
Yeah.
Like
Luke went
classically
to,
trained
absolutely.
musician?
Luke went to the Royal Conservatoire in London.
That's not a bad one.
You
Like,
know, so we went to see Star Wars live at the Albert Hall last year with the London Symphony Orchestra. It was
love to go to one of these
unbelievable. And Luke was there, and he knew a lot of the people in it because you know he'd gone to college with them and stuff.
See,
you know,
what's bizarre, right, is because it's done so well, you would have thought they just ripped that from YouTube.
Yeah, I mean, there is. Look, you're right. There is an element of that, and if you listen to our set when we do things like the Vader's March and stuff in Empire Strikes Back, Luke and Andy have kind of put their own kind of slant on it, made it a bit different, and we lent a lot more into that in our set for the Love of 80s and 90s. It kind of took a song and then remixed it to be our own kind of version. So when he does the opening of theme from Phantom Menace, he's kind of changed it and made it our own.
You did that with the Stranger Things, I noticed.
Yes, yeah.
I noticed it wasn't exactly.
No, and that's good when it's not like that. But there's certain things where
I did
because I didn't notice because I didn't watch Stranger Things at that time. I'm now completely caught up.
Oh
It's
yeah,
fucking great.
yeah, it's great. Isn't it?
and I think again, and I've always said this, and it's the truth. 50% of a movie is its soundtrack.
It's
Absolutely.
more. I'd say
Would
it's
you say
probably
more?
more than that.
Yeah, if you watch a movie, in fact, I seen a video. It was a video. It was on. I'm sure it was on YouTube, and they basically took all the music out of a horror film.
Yeah, and
It's just not scary anymore.
well, the thing is as well,
It's amazing.
that's the difference, you see, because I used to do a lot of theatre work. That's my real background is in theatre. And as a theatre director, one thing that you try and do, particularly with scenes of tension or terror or whatever, is to create no sound whatsoever. Because if you're in a theatre and it's absolutely silent, I don't know if you've ever seen the play Woman in Black. If you ever get the chance to
Seen the
see
film.
it. Well, it's that, but on stage,
Wow.
and it's 10 times as terrifying as anything.
Wow.
It's shit your pants.
I
when you
found that
see
scary, by the way.
Oh, it is. Oh, it is. But they create tension by using silence, whereas in film it's by using eerie music or whatever. But there is a big difference.
There is. You just remind me of something funny. I can't remember why, but I had subtitles on when I was watching a film.
Right.
I can't remember why,
Yeah.
but it was a horror film, and at one point it just came up in the subtitles, eerie screeching. It's like, right, if you're deaf, how do you know what that sounds like?
Have
It's
you
like-
have you ever watched? I forget what they're called now. I can't remember how you'd even find it. But I used to be, when I was a real nerd in the 90s, I used to watch Stargate Atlantis. That was my
Another one of my dad's favourites.
Stargate Atlantis. Jason Momoa, he was in that.
That's right.
So, and because I was such a nerd and into it, they always used to have big cliffhangers at the end of the season. Oh shit, who's going to die? What's going to happen? Whatever. And I'll never forget, I was looking on the internet one day, as you do, and it came up, download, we've got the new episodes, it's up. Downloaded it, what's this? Fucking hell, it wasn't the virus. It was up, it was the proper thing, but it had no music, and it was all, it was like it wasn't edited. All the special effects were taken out of it, and it was hilarious. How bad it was. All the acting. I mean, it's not great now when you watch it,
God.
but it was terrible. And they did it with Wolverine.
Yes.
What was it called? I can't remember what it was. It's got a name, and you can search for it. And sometimes you can find clips of the film made, but without all the special effects.
It's completely raw.
It's completely raw. There's like the mics are all from like a mic, a god mic or whatever. So there's no proper mics.
Green screen cables.
The green screens are there, and it's just like particularly Stargate. They're like going brace, and they're doing this, and then they're stop. Oh my God! Here comes another one. And they're just doing. It's like, what is this? I'm watching. I've waited months and I'm like, I need to not watch this. And honestly, it's the funniest thing ever.
My oldest brother once, I think it was when he was with Spider-Man 2 hadn't come out yet, like the original Spider-Man, not the original, like the Tobey Maguire one.
Part 2.
That hadn't come out yet, and he was kind of renowned for downloading pirate movies.
Right.
And he found it. He was like, Spider-Man 2, you beauty. And then back then the internet still wasn't very quick. So it took him like 8 hours or a day to download.
That's quick.
Tell me it came out as my fellow Americans.
Mate, tell me you didn't even see that. No, I've never seen that
You
one.
get me.
But what it was it was a boy with a pair of tights over his head with strings just going for like an hour.
Do you not remember? You probably won't remember, but like before, Michael Keaton's Batman,
Yeah.
the superhero films were shite. And you don't remember the old Spider-Man films?
I remember the 70s Spider-Man
films,
films. Yeah, it was
brilliant.
his clothes were loose.
Yeah,
it was like Joy's.
And like he'd go like that, and then someone would just chuck a roll.
Yeah, it'd be like a net.
Yeah.
It would just appear from just slightly off camera.
Yeah.
It's like.
I'm sure our adverts were filmed even better than that.
Yeah, I'm sure they-
Do you know one of the best ones was for Superman 2, that fucking cling film thing that he throws over.
Yeah. The F. Oh man.
What is that? I mean, that's probably the best of the Christopher Reeve Superman films as well as Superman 2. Superman 4 is exceptionally shit.
Yeah, it's
But it was great when I was a kid. I used to love
Is that
it.
the quest for
peace?
Quest for Peace.
Quest for Peace.
With
Well,
nuclear
Nuclear
man.
Man.
It's nuclear man. But it's,
Dreadful.
Gene Hackman can't say nuclear.
That's
He's like,
right, yeah.
Nuclear man. Nuclear man. All the way through.
Gene
Nuclear.
Hackman.
Gene Hackman, great actor. How did he end up in Superman films?
Have you seen the clip of Christopher Reeve becoming Superman from Clark Kent? There's like a thing that you can, I don't even know how you find it, but basically someone's taken a clip from one of the films, and it's when Lois Lane comes in and says something to Clark Kent like, well, you don't even know who Superman is or whatever. And then she walks off, and she's a clip of Christopher Reeve, and he's going like this. And then he just does this, and he turns into Superman, and then Lois Lane turns around, and he goes back into Clark, and he's fucking genius. You don't realise how
What's this
good of an
from?
actor he was.
Was this just?
This is part of the film, but when it's taken in that little snapshot, and someone's made a gif of it, it's like, Jesus Christ.
What, so he just changes his posture?
Yeah, because everyone says, oh, it's like Superman, you can tell he has his glasses on and that, but he literally does this. Takes his glasses off and like literally turns into Superman and then goes back into Clark Kent again. It's brilliant.
It was one thing I always thought was a bit weird was, I mean, the Superman Returns film with Brandon Routh.
Yeah.
I thought he did a fucking good job.
Yeah.
Playing Superman.
And
I think the film itself had its
It's a
flaws,
shame,
but
really,
he was
because
really good at it.
he was never really cast to be Superman, make it your. He was just, you need to be Christopher Reeves, be Christopher, and for that I thought it was brilliant.
It was.
We FYI, I met Margot Kidder, the original Lois Lane.
Have you really?
Before she died.
Did you?
Yes.
I'd assume it'd be before she died.
Wow.
It'd be a bit weird if it was after. I was like, hello.
She's quite old, like.
Aye.
Quite like. She's like more like, yeah, how are you doing?
But she was kind of. I think she looked a lot older than she actually was. She had some major.
Probably, but she was nice. She wouldn't let anybody take photos of her. But
She was Lois Lane though.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Yeah. I grew up watching the TV series Lois and Clark.
Yeah.
Well, it was called The New Adventures of Superman
was,
here,
yeah.
but apparently in America, I think it was called Lois and Clark.
You probably don't understand the word adventure or something. It's like
What's an
Harry
adventure?
Harry Potter and the Philosopher's Stone. We'll have to change that. They don't know what a philosopher is.
Tell the story of the right. This is brilliant.
This was I think it was. It would have been early 2000s. I was one of the Harry Potter films was coming on STV.
Right.
That's Scottish television.
Alright.
And,
Got you.
and no, like the previous the program was on before had finished, and they were making the announcement. They say, and next up is this, but they give like a very kind of quick description of what happens in the film. And I can't remember exactly what it was, but just say for example it was supposed to be, will Ron and Hermione help Harry out of this situation? And the woman had never seen the film or read the book clearly. She went, well, will Ron or Hermione Hermione really fell off the fucking scene, mate. Hermione. But they're quite bad for it. Like I remember, like Hermione, especially with Scottish words, like English people, most of them can't say loch. Loch. Yeah,
You
there you
don't
go.
right.
Yeah, but on TV they say loch.
Yeah, it's probably I drink iron brew, so maybe that's what it is.
It's just all the sugar at the back of your throat. You just can't make the kit sound.
Yeah.
But I remember that watching this news report, and something was happening at Loch Lomond, and she said Loch Lomond. I was like, surely
Loch Lomond.
Loch Lomond. Another one I held was Kilmarnock.
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 Oh my God.
It's Kilmarnock. I love things like that. But Hermione, I think, takes the cake
That is pretty
for
good.
ultimate.
Do you not remember when they did that hashtag for when Susan Boyle released that album? Don't remember that.
Subo, yes.
They did
Yes,
and
it
they
was
did
like
a
email.
saying like we're gonna have a big party. Susan Boyle's first album, and it was called Sue's album party. So when you read it, it said it's Susan's album party. Hashtag Susan's album party. So it's Sue's anal bum party. That was a hashtag.
Susan album party.
Yeah.
That's what it was.
I recently bumped into Subo recently.
Wow.
Yeah, you did actually in Tesco.
She lives right next to me.
Not right next. That'd be a bit weird.
Well, not next door, but we live within the vicinity. We see her in the shop all the time.
Wow.
So crazy. We've got a lot of celebrities up our end, right?
Does she know the words to the Scottish national anthem yet?
Don't think I do. To be fair.
I didn't even know what she was looking for in the shop. Do you know where I saw her? In the reduced section.
Wow.
In the reduced
Sticking
section.
to the roots. You
Go
see.
like this.
Wondering what reduced means.
Stop it!
Stop it.
Further to what you were
Stop
saying
it.
there about people getting stuff wrong, right? I was watching an interview with Jason David Frank, who recently was at Comic-Con Scotland, and he was talking in a previous interview where he was like, yeah, I prefer to be places where people know me and what I've done, because I went to a place once and the guy's like, he's like, and here's David Jason Frank, and he was a Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle, and he's like, no, David Jason Frank, his name.
So his name the wrong way.
He said his name the wrong way. He said he's a Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle. What? A teenage mutant. He's like, oh no.
This could go on forever if we keep.
Oh man.
So do we need to talk about what you've done today then? What was it like and who you've seen and
Yeah,
you know
we.
I'm just gate crashing here.
Oh no, mate! The Lost Boys reunion was.
I bet
today.
that was
man.
awesome.
I've got some photographs to show you.
Yeah,
I've got some
I bet
really,
that
I got
was
some really good
awesome.
photos. Seb obviously
What
got
a
some
classic
really
film
good
as well.
footage.
Hey, what about the soundtrack to that?
Well,
We would have done an amazing
Cry Little Sister.
Cry Little Sister.
do you know what, man? We'll get together and you can do our own little private.
Yes,
Lovely,
dude.
yeah.
That will happen at some point. We said that we'll get a podcast, right? We've got you today, Adam.
Yeah.
We will get the 3, and we'll get the 2.
We need to do
5 of
that.
us will do something really cool.
It would be cool to do something like if we could organise it logistically. I know it can be problematic, but if we can do something with the cinema where we'd do something,
Yeah, yeah.
it
That
would be amazing.
Yeah.
Because one of their screens actually, like you've got the seats and then you've actually got a stage and then the screen.
Oh, that'd be awesome.
So
Well, when you
easy
do Crawl,
setup. Yes, when we do Crawl,
Yes.
when we do Crawl.
because Luke and Andy I don't think have seen it yet. And one of our very early microcast episodes for our podcast was me trying to explain what Krull was. And the other one, what was the other film that they'd not seen? And it was an old Carpenter film, They Live.
They
It's
Live.
Fucking brilliant.
Yes, what a movie.
Right.
Long as
You know,
shit.
I've only seen that once in a
Rowdy
while.
Roddy
Well, at
Piper,
least you've seen it. Well,
Yeah.
you'll have seen that,
Yes.
obviously. Brilliant film. And they'd never seen it. And it was me saying, right, well, basically, aliens, they're all amongst us and we don't realise. Yeah. Like, what the
Put the
fuck?
glasses on. You
So
see
what they
it.
do is they have a fight in a back alley. And they
That's some fight by the
yeah,
way.
it is actually.
A
Yeah.
long
And
fight.
they get sunglasses and they put them on and then you can see everything. There's aliens everywhere. And they're like, what the fuck are you going
Yeah,
on
and the
about?
board will basically say obey.
Do you know that film is probably so much more relevant now as well?
Do you know
Yeah,
what? And the most famous line from it.
I'm here to kick ass and chew bubble gum.
And I'm all out of bubble gum.
Have you got that wrong? I'm all
Yes,
out of
Absolute
absolutely.
legend.
Yeah.
Rowdy Roddy Piper.
Yeah.
Yeah.
With his kilt on and that, he was legend.
He was Canadian, but
I know, but what was-
Canadians love their Scottish heritage.
well, his theme was Scottish as well, wasn't it?
Yeah,
Did it come out?
yeah.
What was all that about? That was just the
I
way
think
they
he must
were
have a
there?
Scottish cousin or something. Vince McMahon. Are you very wrestling? Do you know a lot about wrestling?
I was back in the day. I
Right,
was.
so there's a guy called Kofi Kingston.
Mhm.
He's black and has dreadlocks. Well, he must be Jamaican. He's fucking Canadian. So he comes out to the.
His name was Kingston.
Right? Right? So
Jimmy Glasgow.
So they've dropped that now, right? And he was actually world champion recently. They've dropped it now, and he's just allowed to be himself. They find that the missing ingredient to everything is take yourself and turn yourself up to 12.
Yeah, yeah.
Right, so they dropped the whole Eddie Gordo from Tekken gimmick,
Yeah.
right? and he done so much better. But yeah, that's Vince McMahon for you. He'll just he looks Jamaican. Why? Because he's black and has dreadlocks. right. So
It's just like,
miscast.
yeah, it's just like with a K.
Exactly.
So we were talking about
Lost Boys.
Lost
Yes.
Boys.
Today.
Yeah, so we had Kiefer Sutherland's tomorrow, so he's only there for a couple of hours. But for today we had Alex Winter, Billy Worth. I was going to say Wild. Billy Worth. We had your
Jameson Newlander.
Mm-hmm.
My new friend G. Tom Mack. Do you like Jerry McMahon?
I don't know.
The guy, cry little sister.
Oh right, of course, yeah.
Right. So I went up to him today and we had a chat. I've got his email address now as well. Going to forward his performance to him. Maybe get him on the
I
show.
didn't even know you were there, to be honest.
Yeah, him and Tim Capello.
Tim Capello can still.
So did he sing? Did he?
Yes.
Yeah, man. In fact, do you know what, man?
Jesus.
Do you know what?
Nice.
He can still belt it. And
Yeah.
honestly, Tim Capello, he's
Oh, yeah.
still got all the.
He came out and it was pyro, right? He's shagging the sax and making it screech, right? And then I've got a great shot on my phone. I'll show you, right? He comes running off the stage, right? And I catch him where everything looks like a blur. He's in focus. As he runs right past me and he's right into the audience. And he's like,
Nice,
man,
awesome.
right? And then G. Tom Mack, which again, he was always Jared McMahon when I remember him, but he's going by G. Tom Mack now.
Right.
So he come on stage and he's got a guy playing the keys for him. And he's actually doing a Lost Boys musical.
I'm surprised he never have, to be honest.
Yeah, it's coming to the
I'm
West
surprised he
End.
never have.
Coming to the West End first, actually.
What's your
before
views
Broadway.
on the old Back to the Future, the musical?
I didn't know anything about it.
Yeah, it launches in Manchester in February.
Wow.
That was another trip to Manchester getting
Because the
sorted out.
minute the doc finished in Edinburgh, he came to Manchester, where they announced the guy who was playing the doc in the musical, and they did a photo shoot thing around the DeLorean and stuff. And
Oh, wow.
I don't think it'll be terrible. I think a lot of.
Sometimes you just got to give something a chance, eh?
They've done The Exorcist into a stage show.
Yeah, my girlfriend, one of her best friend, was the main woman in it.
Really?
Wow. There you go.
Because they were showing it at a theatre in Glasgow. I can't remember which one. There's loads of theatres in Glasgow. I can't remember which one it is. But I was going to buy tickets, but I think it was a short run in Glasgow, and I couldn't get it.
Well, I think the last one that launched in Manchester was Ghost the musical, and if you've seen that, it's actually really good.
Yeah.
Like when I saw it originally, it was on the original cast with the original kind of set design. Generally, when things come round again, they kind of lower the budget and all that, lose some musicians, put more backing tracks in, that kind of thing.
Right.
But that original cast, because the way that they did it is obviously he's a ghost, isn't he? But it was all tricks. So it was all like making him disappear, and what he would do is do something like he would, a guy would like open a door, close the door, and he couldn't get up. He couldn't open the door. He was trying to, and the door handle that was just there a minute ago that the guy would open and shut the door. I've seen the door. It's now an invisible door that he's trying to open, and it was unbelievable. And the bit on, get off my train. And he'd be like, get off my train! Like, hit the floor, and it'd all go into slow-mo, and there were like people flying in the train. And there's like and what was amazing was like bits of litter, like floating in the air. And then when he stops and they all crack, it was like, Jesus, it's amazing.
Technology like that.
And that launched again in Manchester, I think it was. So we'll see, I don't know. I'll probably try and see it.
Wow.
So,
Honestly, I didn't even know that's something we can look out for as well.
yeah.
We can start reviewing them.
Yeah.
You were talking about the live orchestra playing with the Star Wars movie.
Yes.
How was that?
Amazing.
Yeah.
It was
just make it pop. Or?
Yeah, it does. I mean, obviously, it's not easy to do, obviously, because you know, like when I obviously know music and I know it, but my missus that was with me didn't realise that it was just non-stop music. It's like, well, yeah, you don't sometimes don't appreciate that.
Yeah.
That the minute it starts to the minute it ends, pretty much it's non-stop. There's elements where, like the cantina scene and all that, where there's kind of no music and it takes on a different, you know, you know, the Cantina Band music. It's not orchestrated as such. So all that's the kind of section. There's no music, but it was just unbelievable. Krull done like that. Oh, Jesus Christ, would have been amazing. No, but if you get the chance, the thing with it was the LSO, so there's the London Symphony Orchestra. Yeah. These are the guys that record the track then, but obviously now as well.
Yeah.
So it's probably the best orchestra on the planet, playing it in one of the world's greatest venues at the Royal Albert Hall. It was just unbelievable.
No, that's
you know, but they do, like I've seen, they do.
I've seen Back to the Future.
Back to the Future. They've done Jurassic Park.
They've done the Goonies as well.
They've done. I think they have done the Goonies. So yeah, if you ever get the chance to see something like that, it's definitely worth it.
No, it's definitely something we're going to look out for. I think we'll pretty much kind of wrap it up there.
Okay.
Unless you've got any more questions
Well,
you'd like to ask.
What's next for the Synthwards? Where would you like to take the Synthwards?
Well, I don't. You know, the thing with it is we check us out on Facebook. We love doing what we do, as you guys love doing what you guys do. And yeah, let's see. I mean, we've got other things potentially, irons in the fire as they were. I've had a guy ring us up from Germany the other day, want us to go out to Germany, so that'd be quite cool if that comes off.
Awesome.
And that's at a Tattenberg festival. It's like a big organ and keyboard festival in Germany, which would be quite cool.
Would you consider doing some of the big festivals around the UK?
I would love to do anything. Give us a shout.
Yeah. If you're watching this and you have any pokers in the fire with festivals, give these guys a shout.
Yeah, honestly, anything. And because what we did is we kind of put this together for when we did For the Love of Sci-Fi. And then it kind of took on its own thing and morphed into, oh, you can come and do this, come and play in schools, come and do whatever. So we will take it wherever it goes. You know?
One thing, obviously, that it came together because of the love of sci-fi, and that's why you're called the Synthwards. Is that something? Will you just keep that now, or do you think
I don't know.
you intend to change it to anything else?
Maybe call it.
Let's wait until his t-shirt's fucked.
We'll wait until someone knocks on our door. But, no, I mean, look, we would have loved to have done the full of Love of Horror, you know, because I think that is an area that we're all passionate about. We've actually got links with obviously John Carpenter and things like that. Would have been great, but we'll see. You know, I'm sure they'll be back in some form next year. I'd like to have done the Scotland one. That would have been good.
Yeah.
That would have been great. That you know, maybe put in a word for us, maybe get us up to Scotland next year. That would be cool.
We'll do our best. We have to.
Yeah, because if you guys come to Scotland,
then we got
then you're right there. We can use you elsewhere.
We can use you. Yeah, you can
use us. We don't need a hotel. We'll just come and live with you guys.
Well, there you go. And you can come.
Unlike Kev, we're not going to bum you.
But no, honestly, we love doing what we do, and it's great that you guys saw us and liked what you saw.
Yes, absolutely.
No, we did. We
brought
loved
out
it.
the inner child.
Yeah,
for sure.
We loved it, and we hope to see you again live soon.
Right.
So
cheers, pal.
thanks for your time, man. It's been
We'll
great.
be playing the Top Gun theme again soon.
Links are below in the description.
Thanks
for
again.
the Facebook, Microcast, the podcast,
Yeah.
and you can also view our video that we filmed last year of the Synthwards.
Yep, and keep an eye out for our coverage of For the Love of Horror, which is coming soon, and also Scotland Comic Con.
Comic-Con
Scotland.
Scotland.
Scotland Comic Con. Scotland. Goodbye.
And that is the character. Right.